Hi, my name's Andrew.
And my name is Thomas.
And we've just made this short presentation to explain about our YouTube channel, which is called...
SpinATlightspeed.
SpinATlightspeed. And
I forgot to mention at the very start, if I come up close,
yeah.
I seem to be a gangster with a broken heart.
So, to explain that, Thomas had a good fun day at school, which was a no school uniform day, no rules day.
It was break the rules, but not in our behaviour.
Not in our behaviour, but just appearance. So we put these fake tattoos on, we can't get them off. So,
and do you like this big lion one?
So
I like the anchor.
We are here. Thank you for explaining that, Thomas, because it is important that we explain that you're not actually a gangster.
No.
So we're here to explain...
I got them up my arm as well.
We're here to explain about our YouTube channel, which is called SpinATlightspeed.
Yeah.
But before we do that, who are we? Mr. Thomas, who are we?
We are YouTube. We are bloggers, basically.
Bloggers, vloggers, YouTubers, basically.
Yeah.
So this is young Thomas. Thomas is 8 years old. And my name's Andrew. We live in Canterbury. I have a type of muscle disease called muscular dystrophy.
It affects your arms and your legs.
Oh, my legs and my arms. And it basically means I use an electric wheelchair or a power wheelchair to get around.
Yeah.
And you've always known me to be in this way. So I started using a power wheelchair way before you were born. Pardon. We're also, in secret, we're both actually toads.
Yes.
So we started a toad club during lockdown.
And we got a toad corner.
Toad corner where we sit in the garden.
And afterwards we're going to go on Amazon and get some toad ornaments for the toad corner. Anyway.
So why YouTube? Well, ever since I can remember, you liked watching YouTube.
Yeah.
A lot of kids do. You know, we tried to regulate tablet time and screen time, but you do get a chance to go on a tablet, and YouTube's very intuitive. It learns what you like.
Where were we?
I was saying about how you like YouTube and you really like the GoPros. So when we actually finally got one, it was amazing. We got it to start with just for making home videos, but Tom would talk into it like it was, "Hi guys, how you doing? Don't forget to comment down below, click subscribe." And we're like, "Tom, who are you talking to? What's going on?"
YouTube.
So we started filming things, and at the time had volunteer carers that were coming with us on adventures and trips away and out, and we were filming all the time. Not sure what we would do with the footage, but attach the GoPro to the edge of my chair, and we would make these videos of museum trips or going on trains and planes and beaches and all sorts of things.
And swimming.
We had probably about 3 years worth of footage that we'd been building up.
Like swimming from like when you had your old phone, from like when I was like a baby.
So during the lockdown period, we then started to edit the videos with a view to starting a channel. And the types of videos that you'll see on the channel are, they might be travel videos, they might be days out videos, they might be how we've made things fun. So it might be like how we, as a disabled parent and a child in an interabled family, can get by. How do we
and it could be a little bit difficult because I'm going to have to ASAP just run around everywhere.
Just like that. But we do one on cleaning, and it kind of shows how we do the chores around the house, but making them fun.
just for example, putting my step away.
Off he's gone. He's gone to tidy up his step. So a lot of it is about how to make things fun, but how to show the positive side of disability. Because there was a long time where I was very depressed about being in a wheelchair, thought I wasn't going to have a normal life, wasn't going to have a normal family, wasn't going to be able to go places, and if I went places it was stressful. What about access to toilets? And there's so many reasons why you wouldn't go out and make the fullest adventure of a life because of access and mobility problems. Tom was agreeing in toad language there. So when we started to get really confident with doing things, we're like, you know what, if we could spread this message that you can do things. I remember getting a train from Canterbury up to London once.
It was the first time, just you and me and the carer. But
before that, I'd asked a friend who'd been in a wheelchair all his life, and he was like, oh, don't bother getting trains, it's really, really stressful. You can get left behind, the guards are rude and angry, they won't always help you, they won't put you on or off, and it's too stressful, it can go wrong. And I did it the first time, I was like, that was quite easy actually. And you ring up in advance, tell them where you're going to be, and then after doing lots of train journeys, getting to know the staff at the train stations that we get on and off at, so you end up building up quite a good relationship with them. I was like, this isn't actually that difficult. And then we started to go a bit further afield, so we got some video of taking train trips up to Manchester, Newcastle,
which is where my pops was born,
York. We got a train across to Paris
and York,
Euro Disney.
On York, when we get off, I almost threw up.
Yeah, that's a long story. But we also then had I went to America. You haven't been there yet. Sorry, Thomas.
We're going to go there next year.
Yeah, got a train from Washington to New York. So
we're going to go for my 7th birthday in Florida.
You're going to be 9 by the time we actually get there. But
it was meant for my 7th birthday.
Yeah. So travel, and I touched a little bit on where we've been, because we found with the right carer we could stay out overnight, and the Holiday Inn franchise, other hotels are available, but the Holiday Inn franchise often give a free interconnecting carers room, and that just means
great.
We can go away without having to double up the cost of hotels, and there's a bit more space for equipment.
With a free wheelchair
room. Their own privacy. Yeah, Tom doesn't like the fact that it's the carers room that's free, so he likes to think that you pay for the carers room and you get the wheelchair room free. Whichever way you look at it, it's okay. Basically, the message that we want to get across with this is that
we still got 1, 2, 3.
You can go
5
with the right information. You can go and do things like we're building up the confidence to go on the underground, and then started to get really confident with that. And then it was like, what about buses, London buses? What about taxis? And so we got videos that kind of show the do's and don'ts. The kind of, sometimes you can read about how accessible a venue is, but until you actually see somebody going somewhere, and it might be a museum or it might be a day out or a castle or something like that, you actually see. Is that you can do things, okay, with the right organisation, with the right help, with the right enablers. You can get out there and do amazing things. But even sometimes when you're trapped at home, so we were at home for lockdown
for a year,
and one day we went out into the garden and just made an obstacle course so we could zoom around. You kind of chased me around on your little motorbike, and then we were making things fun out of virtually nothing. because you have to look at the the brighter side of life. You have to be positive. It's half the battle. That's the way that we look at it. But it's not to say just gung ho, go out for a long day out without actually doing your research. We found the hard way how to do things, and
which was actually quite easy.
we want to actually get the message across that other people, go out and do these days out. They're often quite a lot of venues we go to allow the wheelchairs not to queue, or there's discounts, or there's free places for a carer.
Like museums.
Yep.
If there's ever evacuation, we're gonna have to go beep beep.
Well, that's what I was trying to tell Thomas.
We're gonna have to go. Excuse me.
So the reason why often you don't have to queue, and I got this told to me by a security guard once, and he said it's not because we're being nice to you. It's just the fact that we don't want, if we had to evacuate the queue, and you're in the middle of it in a wheelchair, people are going to fall over you. But the good news is for us,
remember that.
we don't have to queue.
Remember that guy? Well, we were trying to rush for a train. We went
over someone's foot. Yeah.
There was swearing.
So what's next? Right. So now finally we're going to talk about Spin at Lightspeed. Why is it called Spin at Lightspeed? Because we spent absolutely ages trying to find a name for the channel.
Like the Andrew and Thomas vlog or something.
But Spin, now for some reason when we started filming the intros, it's something we would normally do if we're just messing around.
And then at the end of the video we go.
Tom would jump onto my chair, and we're going to cut to a thing of this. So Tom would hop onto my chair, and this chair I've got, this is a newer version of the all-terrain wheelchair I've got. It's really fast at spinning. It's got great torque.
The magic mobility chair.
Yeah. So you hop on my lap, and we just spin around. So
and then we go. Way!
So spinning was some kind of theme for our title. Now AT stands for Andrew and Thomas. And Lightspeed, well, I'm always a bit of a Star Wars fan, but also...
And me.
Also, what spins at Lightspeed, Tom?
A black hole and a wormhole.
So this is a little bit deep, right? But a black hole spins at Lightspeed. And sometimes when you have a disability, it kind of feels like everything's against you. Everything's sucking you into this horrible black hole of despair. And everything you're doing, you're working really hard, your feet, you're really kind of trying to be positive and keep going just to keep out of this black hole. So there's a bit of a deep meaning, spinning at light speed.
Just like a wormhole.
Or like a wormhole or a black hole. So
wormhole goes.
Now the channel's out there, we need to grow and spread it. And ideally, when we get to 1,000 subscribers, apparently YouTube will then elevate the channel even further. At the moment, we've got 270 odd subscribers. So if you like what you hear, please spread the word.
276.
Yes, 200. We've got a long way to go. So if you do like the concept, you like the idea, please click like, subscribe.
Notification bell.
We'd love to hear from you if you've got any ideas or feedback. So thank you very much for listening, and hopefully you enjoy the channel, and we look forward to you seeing a lot more of us. See you later. Cheers.
Okay, have you got your mic off, Andrew?
I hope so. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Okay, so first I just want to say that was brilliant. It's one thing we spoke about earlier on in the conference, actually, with Access Your Life, was about traveling and planning days out. And you said in there about how it's very easy to think, oh, I can't do that. It's very daunting. But obviously, it's really great to see somebody like you actually follow you around on your day and as you do all of the different things and find out how accessible it can be if you make those plans. So one question we've had is about your process on planning a day out. What do you do? How do you research it? What kind of things do you research to make the day go as smooth as possible?
Yeah, so it's evolved over the years. And to start with, I was very, very military. That went the very simplest route. So that was from Canterbury to Charing Cross. Didn't have to change, didn't have to go anywhere else, no underground. And everywhere I went to, I had to be able to walk from there. And then I would plan how long to stay in one museum. The little alarm would go off, how to get to the next one, to get the right train back, and plenty of time. And then as I became a little bit more confident, it started to kind of go for different routes, and then tried the underground, and then tried buses, and then it was just, I suppose, speaking to other disabled users, going on YouTube and watching videos of what happens when someone in a wheelchair goes on the underground. We even went down to the platform a few times just to watch the trains, just so that Thomas wouldn't be scared, because kids pick up on your anxieties, and if I'm a bit unsure, and we never really went wrong. It was just about being very careful and planning. We had one trip which didn't quite go to plan, and we'd been to the design museum. So we're trying to find different museums, and they had an exhibition on Mars. And then on the way back, we were going to go to Harrods just to see the toy store, but Tom was like, "I don't really fancy doing that today. We've done it before." I'm like, "Right, well, let's go to Madame Tussauds. We can get a bus from here to there. I can work out the route. We get there, and then we're down the road from St Pancras. We get a bus to the main train station and go home. We get to Madame Tussauds, and they only allow 3 wheelchair users per half day, and you have to have booked it in advance." And I said to them, "Well, are you busy?" And they said, "Well, we've got 3 wheelchairs, but are you busy?" "Not really." "Well, can we come in then?" "No." Okay. And the manager came down. I tried to, argue and advocate and say, "Well, what if I stayed in the gift shop and then Thomas would go around with the carer, so at least he wouldn't miss out on the day?" And they said, "Yeah, you can do that, but he has to queue." And it was quite busy, to be fair. And they said, "Oh, you can come back tomorrow." Well, it's not as simple as just coming back tomorrow. We're here in London now. And then we went to get a bus, and 3 buses passed us. I went to the next stop, and another bus didn't stop. And we're like, "Right, this is just not, that kind of thing does happen, but very, very rarely."
Yeah.
If those things had happened on our first trip to London, we'd have been put off. We may not have gone back. So I think it's important to do your research, but also to be aware that things can go a bit wrong, and if they do, just keep going, because we've had hundreds of trips that have been really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't write it off of just one experience. You've got to keep going. But like you say, plan it to give yourself the best chance of success, really, which is
Definitely.
great.
Yeah.
And we did have somebody saying that traveling on the underground does seem really daunting. So what you said there about sort of baby steps is a good idea, sort of maybe starting small and then gradually introducing new things. Is that what you'd say would be a good thing?
Definitely. And going on Facebook and looking at some of the forums that are available for accessible travel, and there's a couple of people there that live and work in London that are power wheelchair users, know the routes absolutely backwards, and are very, very helpful. And I remember my first trip was just to go from King's Cross down to I think it was I changed at Green Park, and then I had to get another route from Green Park down to Westminster. And at the time, the brakes weren't working too well on my chair, and I hadn't quite anticipated quite how powerful the underground is. And I literally had a carer who's a young lad, completely white face, trying to stop me from going flying down the carriage. And at the end of his time with me, he was a volunteer carer for a year. He said that was the most daunting thing that happened when he'd been with me, that kind of fear of the underground. And now we know which trains to get on and off at, and we just stick to those routes, and we've not had any problems, even when it's been absolutely, where you've got to wait for 3 or 4 trains before you can get on the underground. It's that busy. I find most people, put my head down, coming in, budge up, and they get out of the way. And you wouldn't be put off, because you do tend to meet really nice people that will help you. I've never been stuck on a train. I've never had anything go massively wrong. And before lockdown, I was getting the underground probably 4 or 5 times a month. So it was relatively regular for me. But it went from not wanting to do it to being too scared to do it, to avoiding it, to walking everywhere, to building up the confidence.
Yeah. And someone said, can you be spontaneous at all with your days out? I suppose maybe as time goes on and you know those routes well, you can have some level of spontaneity, but I guess it's always good to have a plan.
It didn't work with the Madame Tussauds, and that was me trying to be spontaneous, but that was just a poor example. So I often now, I wouldn't plan the return journey home, although you have to book 24 hours in advance, don't you? That's the rules. But when you know the platform staff and you're going on that route, they normally get me on the train without having to book. So I would know that the trains are, I think it's 10 past the hour. So I would try to, if I get to the station, I've just missed a train, I'll wait for the next one, just not to be too stressed about it. So yeah, but we do tend to want to research at least where we're going, because that you don't want to go all that way and then find that where you want to go is closed or you can't get in. And it was hugely disappointing, probably more so for me than Thomas, because I built it up. I was like, oh, this is Star Wars waxwork. You can see them.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Talking of Thomas, is it ever frustrating for him, or has he never really felt that it's any kind of limitation? Anything's still possible, it just takes a bit more planning?
I don't think even on that particular occasion, because when the buses weren't stopping for us, I said to him, right, well, let's have a race. The carer will get on the next bus, and we'll set the GoPro up. And he jumps on my lap. We'll zoom off. You've got to operate the horn for people to get out of the way, and we'll meet them on the platform to get on the train. So you've just got to try and innovate a little bit and make something fun. And then that was great fun, and we didn't run over anyone that day. And he was operating the horn and shouting at people, and yeah.
Absolutely. So you've taken something that could have been a bit of a anxiety-inducing experience, and you've actually made it a lot more fun for him than it would have been if it went smoothly. So that's fantastic. What destination is next on your list, restriction permitting?
Oh, we want to go to the Harry Potter world, and we've not done that yet. And there's a couple of other museums that we wanted to go to again that we haven't been to. But yeah, going up to London and doing the Warner Brothers Studios has been on the cards for a long time. It's just waiting for it to be safe to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually waiting to go there as well. I have tickets booked but haven't been able to go. Yeah, that'll be fantastic, I'm sure.
And where they have the platform, is it 13 and a half or 9.5, 9 3/4?
Yes,
at King's Cross, and you have to queue up. And whenever you go there, there's hours of queues. You don't queue as a wheelchair user. And I was passing with a volunteer carer, and she was a particularly Harry Potter fan. I said, boy, we could just go to the front. And then they kind of whisk you in and take the pictures. And I came out and I spotted one of Thomas's friends from school, because he wasn't with me that day. I was just there on a business conference. And I stopped and I said, oh, do you want to come with me and just say that you're my son? And she was too embarrassed. And no, I can't do that. So, okay, that's why not. I've already been up. But yeah, half an hour to an hour of queues, and they just whisk you to the front like a VIP.
Wow, exactly. There you go. There are some perks there. We've got a question from Stuart. He says, I used the new passenger app last week, which worked really well. The staff at the station of departure knew I was coming when I bought my tickets. That's fantastic, isn't it?
I'd heard the app was coming. I met the CEO of Southeastern at a business conference maybe 18 months ago, and he talked me through the app, what it was going to mean. Yeah, probably a game changer, because at the times that you're on the train, and if the guard hasn't clocked you getting on and hasn't come to say hello, because most of the time they do, but if they don't, when you come to get off, and I've always, if my carer has not been able to find the guard to tell them that they're going to get the ramps out, and there's nobody at the station that's ready, everything can go wrong sometimes. I've had to ask other passengers to go and push the alarm bell, or and I was told you legitimately can raise the alarm that way because it's an emergency for you. You want to get off, and all it does is call through to the driver. I remember getting a train into London Bridge, and I was told London Bridge is the busiest train station in the whole of Europe, the number of trains coming and going. And we'd booked it, and the guard was aware, but he'd changed. The guard had changed at the station before, so the new guard hadn't come and found me. My carer, it was his first week in the UK, and I said, go and find the guy with the high vis. You've only got like 2 minutes, you've got to run. And he went the wrong way. And there was a group of football fans that had been very jovial, kind of drinking heavily on the train. They walked past. I said, excuse me, lads, I need to get off. Can you help me? And there was all kinds of expletives as they ran shouting at the guard. And I got off the train. The train wasn't going to be allowed to go with 15 football hooligans trying to stop it. And incredibly helpful. So, yeah, you just got to be bold, I think, sometimes. I knew if I just sat there, the doors would close. My young carer would have been sat on the platform, and I'd be off to Charing Cross. And he wouldn't have had a clue what to do. But the app sounds really good, and I'm looking forward to travelling again.
It does. Thank you for that, Stuart. That was really good. That was the passenger app for anybody that might be watching a recording and can't see the chat, the passenger app. That's brilliant. And like you say, Andrew, just ask people for help. More often than not, people will be willing to help in whatever way that they can. So that's fantastic. Let me just check whether we've got any other questions. No, I don't think we do. So what I will do is leave in the live chat the link to the YouTube channel. That's also in the show guide as well. So let's help get Andrew and Thomas to that 1,000 subscriber mark. Do you know what you're on at the moment?
With 280 yesterday, 279 today. We lost one. Sad times.
Oh, well, let's correct that, everybody.
When we get a new subscriber, it's a bit sad, but the two of us have a little cheer. And when one disappears for whatever reason, it's all sad times. But we did share one video on it was a trip to Disney, and it was how the wheelchair gets on and off one of the rides. And because I'd never have imagined a big chair like mine getting onto a boat in Disneyland. And that had over 6,000 views within about 30 minutes. It just went almost mini viral, shall we say. And we had 50 or 60 or 70 subscribers just from that one video. But then, of course, the rest of it's not Disney. So I think a lot of those people then have unsubscribed because we've only got 2 or 3 Disney videos. Yeah,
that's quite possible. But it's such a great resource to be there, and I hope more and more people do find it, because it's one thing kind of reading about things and planning it out in theory, but watching somebody and going through them and seeing how their day goes, I think that's something really, really great for people to be able to tap into. So yeah, thank you very much indeed for your presentation and for chatting with us, Andrew, and let Thomas know thank you as well from us.
Excellent.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, Kat. Bye-bye.